Hey boys and girls, I'm here today to do Module 1, Lesson 8. I am Ms. Jimerson, 4th grade math teacher from Cypress Point Elementary. So today we're going to be rounding multi-digit numbers to any place value using a number line. Specifically today, we're going to be doing the 10,000s place value and the 100,000s place value. So let's start with our application problem. It says Jose's parents bought a used car, a new motorcycle, and a snowmobile. The car cost $8,999. The motorcycle cost $9,690. And the snowmobile cost $4,419. About how much money did they spend on the three items? Now in this question there is a big key word here. I even have it in all caps for you. It's that word about. In those previous lessons that I have taught, about means I'm going to be doing estimation, or sometimes we call it rounding. Okay? So we're not looking for an exact answer here on this application problem. We're just looking for the estimated cost of all three of these items together. Okay? So let's go ahead and get started. So I know that I've got three items. I have the car, the motorcycle, and the snowmobile. I can make three tape diagrams for this. Okay, so over here to the side, I'm going to use the C for car. I'm just going to fill in this little tape diagram. The car was $8,999. Okay, the motorcycle was $9,690. So it cost more, a little bit more. So that tape diagram is going to be a little bit longer. And it was $9,690. And then the snowmobile was $4,419. So it was the least expensive. So we'll use S for snowmobile. And again, it was $4,419. Stick it in there. Now, the first thing that we have to do, since we're not looking for an exact answer here, is we need to find the estimated totals of these three things. So let's say the car, I see that it's $8,999. Now, if I used a vertical number line and I actually rounded it out, I could come up with an answer. However, we don't want to have to do all of those steps here. We want to take out that vertical number line and use what we already know about rounding numbers and find out what that estimated total would be. So the car, the real price is $8,999. That's pretty close to $9,000. It's $1 difference. So that car is about $9,000. We can just round that and say it's about $9,000. The motorcycle, just put an M here, is $9,690. So that means it's either going to round down to $9,000 or it's going to go up to $10,000. Now that 690 lets me know that it would be above my midpoint, so it's going to be about $10,000. It's closer to $10,000. And then my snowmobile, again I'll just put an S here, is $4,419. So that's either going to go down to $4,000 or up to $5,000. Now that 419 in there lets me know that it's going to be a little bit below my midpoint. So it's going to round down to about $4,000. Now, we need to add those up because it wants to know how much money or about how much money they spent on all three items. So we would just add these up. Okay, so starting in the ones place, 0, tens place is 0, hundreds place is 0. Now let's look at the thousands place. I have 9,000 plus 4,000, which gives me 13,000. So I would just need to carry that 1 or regroup that 1 to the 10,000s place. And the only thing I have in the 10,000s place is 1 plus 1. So that's going to be about $23,000. Now, if we added up the exact totals, which it doesn't ask us to, but if we did to extend this problem, it's going to be pretty close to $23,000. So if we're going to write a sentence, the family, or Jose's parents, spent about $23,000 on all three items. All right, let's move into some fluency. So let's look at this number. It says to say the number. So let's look at that number. It's 357,468. And we've done a fluency activity like this where we broke down the thousands base and the ones base. Well, here they already have the ones base there for us. So all we need to do is figure out what those thousands are. So of this number, they have 468 ones. So that means everything else that's in front of that comma is going to be in our thousands base. So it's going to be 357,468 ones. All right, now this time, same number, 357,468. This time, it's asking us about it already has the ones, but it's asking us about the 10,000s. So let's see what they already have for the ones place, or the ones base. They have 7,468. So that takes care of those particular digits there. So what's left over are the 35. So the 3 in the 100,000s place and the 5 in the 10,000s place. So that left over would be 35 10,000s. Now if we broke that down, that's going to be that 350,000. And then what's left over is 7,468. All right. One more way. Same number, 357,468. They have it just broken down as 6 tens, 8 ones. Now it wants to know just what's in the hundreds place. So this one's just a little bit different. So what's in that hundreds place? They have it broken down as just 4 hundreds. So that one's just a little bit different there. All right, so now here's our vertical number line again. We're going to be rounding 72,744 to the nearest 10,000. And we did one of these in the previous lesson just to kind of extend and get ready for this lesson. So let's look at these steps. So it says how many 10,000s? So what's in the 10,000s place of 72,744? The 7 is in the 10,000s place. So that's going to be 70,000 for my lower or bottom endpoint, excuse me. Now, what's 10,000 more? So if I'm at 70,000 at the bottom and I need to go up 10,000, that's going to be 80,000. So there's my two endpoints, 70,000 and 80,000. That means my number is either going to round down to 70,000 or up to 80,000. Now let's find the endpoint, or not the endpoint, the midway point or the midpoint. So in between 70,000 and 80,000 is 75,000. Now we need to figure out where our number would go. Is it going to go below the 75,000 or would it go above the 75,000? If our number is only 72,000, it's going to go below that 75,000. So it's going to go maybe just kind of in between those two, 72,744. And since it's below the midpoint, it's going to round down to 70,000. Now let's review. If it was above the midpoint, then it would go up. But since it's below the midpoint, it just rounds down to 70,000. All right, let's look at another one. This one's to the 100,000s. So we're going to round 749,085 to the nearest 100,000. So what's in the 100,000s place? Let's look at those place values. I've got ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, and 100,000s. So we need to figure out what our lower or bottom end point would be, and that's going to be 700,000. All right, if we're rounding to the 100,000s place, we need to go 100,000 more to get our other end point. So our end points are going to be 700,000, and the top one would be 800,000. Now let's think about what would be in between 700 and 800. Let's just think that before we go all the way to the 100,000s. What would be in between 700 and 800 if I was going to count? That'd be 750. So here, in this example, it's actually going to be 750,000. So our midpoint is 750,000. Now we need to figure out where 749,085 would go on this number line. So I know that it's definitely above 700,000. But that 49 right here, is that going to go above the 50 or below the 50? So let's think about that number 49. Is it going to be above 50 or below 50? It's actually right below. So just right below this line, my midpoint, I'm going to come here, and it's 749,085. So it's very close to that midpoint, but it's still a little below. So when it is below the midpoint, it rounds down to that bottom end mark or end point. So 749,085 is about 700,000. Very good job on that one, you guys. All right, this one's a little different. This has two numbers that it wants us to add. Excuse me. It says, without finding the exact answer, I can estimate the answer by rounding first. So what I can do here is I can do the 505,341. I can round it on this number line. I can round my second number on the second number line, and then I can add them together. Okay, so let's do that. So here, they're in the 100,000, so we're going to be rounding to the 100,000s place. So in the first one, I've got 505,341. What's in that 100,000s place? I've got ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, and 100,000s. So that bottom end point is 500,000. Now, if we're rounding to the 100,000s, if my bottom is 500,000, my top would be 600,000. Okay, so I'm in between those 200,000s. And then I need to figure out my midpoint. So what would be in between 500 and 600? So take a second, just think about that. What would be in between 500,000 and 600,000? Well, my midpoint would be 550,000. Now I just need to put my number of 505,341 on my number line. So if my midpoint is 550,000, I'm looking to put 505,000 on the number line. Well, knowing what I know about numbers and what you know about numbers, you know that that 505 is definitely going to be less than 550. It's actually going to be pretty close to that 500. So let's input that number there, 505,341. So it's going to round down to 500,000. And I always just circle the number that it's rounding to. It just helps me remember what I'm rounding it to. All right, let's look at that other number, 193,841. Again, rounding to the 100,000s. So what's in that 100,000s place? I've got 1 in the 100,000s. So my bottom end point is 100,000. And again, since I'm rounding to the 100,000s place, my other or my top end point can only be 100,000 more. So I've got 100,000 at the bottom, then I move up to 200,000. All right, you guys, the last important thing is to find that midpoint. So I'm in between 100,000 and 200,000. So that midpoint would be 150,000. And I need to figure out where our number can go, 193,841. So I've got 150 here, but I need to place 193,000 on that number line. Well, I know that 193,000 is more than 150,000. So this one is going to go above that midpoint. So it's going to go pretty close to the 200,000. So I'm going to again input this number. And I know that it's above my midpoint, so it's going to round up to 200,000. Now, I've rounded both of my numbers. Now can I add them together? We sure can. So let's come up here and add those together. 500,000 plus 200,000. And if I add those together, got 0, all right, 0, and then 5 plus 2 would give me 7. So my total, or my sum, would be about 700,000. Now, if I went back and I actually added those together using the exact numbers, it's going to be pretty close to 700,000. So I know that took a little bit of work, and it was a little longer than those others, but good job keeping up with that. Very good job. All right, let's just do a few more to end this lesson. This time we're rounding to the nearest 100,000. So let's look at our number, 449,019. What's in that 100,000s place? It's a 4, good. So it'd be 400,000 at the bottom. And let's remember, we're rounding to the 100,000s. So if my bottom is 400,000, I need to go up 100,000. So my top end point would be 500,000. And then I need to figure out that midpoint in between 400,000 and 500,000. So in between those two numbers would be 450,000. Now I just need to figure out where my number would go. 449,019. So if I've got 450,000 in the middle, I need to place 449,000 on my number line. Well, I know that 450,000 is just a little bit higher than 449,019. So on my number line, I would just come a little bit below that midpoint to put my number there. And we're just going to squeeze that in. It's pretty close to that 450,000. So if it's below the midpoint, it's going to round down to 400,000. So it's about 400,000. All right, let's do this one. This one is rounding to the nearest 10,000. So let's go back to thinking about 10,000s instead of 100,000s. So what digit is in my 10,000s place? I've got 45,099. What's in my 10,000s place? The 4. So if I've got 4 10,000s, I have 40,000. That's the value of the 4 10,000s. All right, I'm only rounding to the nearest 10,000, so that means I only need to go up to the next 10,000. So if my bottom is 40,000, my top would be 50,000. And then I need to figure out my midpoint. What would be in between 40,000 and 50,000? Think about counting in between 40 and 50. That midpoint would be 45,000. All right, and the last thing I need to do is I need to put my number on the number line. So my midpoint is 45,000. My number is 45,099. That's just a little bit higher than 45,000. So right above that 45,000, not very high, just a little bit above, would be my number. And I'm just going to write it over here so it doesn't get all mixed in with those other numbers. So since it's above the midpoint just a little bit, it's going to round up to 50,000. So that 45,099 goes up to, or is about, 50,000. All right, good job on this, you guys. I will see you again next time.